Welcome back to our special Bihar coverage, where we are bringing you the big result, the battle for Bihar. In just about half an hour from now, the EVMs, the electronic voting machines, will be opened, and then we expect counting to be done thick and fast in a state that has a reputation for quick counting. Biharis, when it comes to politics, you can't beat them even on counting day. Therefore, we're going to put the 10 big X factors. What is going to decide this big Bihar verdict? And then I'll get all our studio guests to tell us where they stand on this. A, who have the women voted for? This is an election where the women vote could be critical. Is there a strong youth factor? Have the youth swung in one way? Remember, about 1.7 crores voters in Bihar are under the age of 29. That's 25% of the total voters. Has the BJP gained the Dalit vote? Is a critical factor. Who has gained the EBC, the extremely backward caste? They're about 30% of the state. Who has gained this critical silent voter? Has there been a religious polarization in parts of Bihar, particularly phase 5, where there were large Muslim pockets? Have smaller parties and independents, the likes of Pappu Yadav, the likes of Owaisi, split the vote in any meaningful manner? Is there a sharp rural-urban divide? Remember, traditionally BJP is stronger in urban Bihar than in rural parts. Will Lalu be an advantage or an Achilles for team Nitish? Many believe Nitish minus Lalu was the way middle-class Bihar wanted this election to play out. Will BJP's allies, Paswan and Kushwaha, be an asset or liability? And we could also say whether the Congress will be an asset or liability. Remember, 40 seats that it's contesting. And number 10, will the price of dal, and I put this because dal was an issue when I saw it on the streets of Bihar, will dal influence voting patterns? Those are some of the 10 issues that we are going to be looking at. Manisha Priyam is joining me now, India lead with the London School of Economics. You have a great in-depth look at Bihar over the years. Your sense, is there an X factor that we should be looking at in this election that you believe could be critical as those votes start getting counted?
Women, especially EBC women, who are eagerly coming out and saying that they've benefited from the model of development that Nitish put around. So that is a local model of development that brings out the whole story of Modi's development versus Nitish's development. The other thing is item number 8 or 9 on your list. But that's the price of dal. I do remember that at the time of the Lok Sabha voting, women and the Dalits said that we are voting for the Kamal Chap largely because of inflation, and the other one was unemployment. But they had expected the Modi government to deliver on these. Are they looking at the vote for Modi government in 2014 as a conditional vote? And are they looking at those terms once again? I think those are the things I would be looking out for.
Yeah, we should also look at this in the context of what happened in 2014 and what happened now. 2014, in the general elections, if you extrapolate that into the assembly, the Mahagathbandhan was leading in just 64 of the 243. The NDA-led alliance was leading in 172. And that's as early or as late as May of 2014, just about 18 months ago. That election was a complete Modi wave election. And that's what we want to see. Has that wave sustained itself? Who better to answer that than Sambit Patra, who's joining us early this morning. Sambit, you know, it's unfair almost on politicians to call you before the counting begins, because I know you're going to say you're winning. But if you were honest with yourself, under that lovely smile of yours, are you nervous this morning for once?
But I would like to begin the day by wishing you all and saying Jai Chanakya. That's the new way we have started wishing all our friends. And secondly,
I thought you were going to say Happy Diwali, but you know, that's in 3 days from now. But Jai Chanakya, yes, Chanakya came from the land of Bihar, and you're relying on an exit pollster. That's a good sign. Tell me.
In fact, I was just going to the Twitter just before sitting for your discussion, and there was a fantastic post by some of our supporters, and the say today is Andhera chhatega, Suraj niklega, Kamal khilega. So I'm sure in Bihar there would be parivartan. I'm sure that the victory this time in Bihar is victory of development. And I've been participating in umpteen number of debates this last few days, I mean exit polls and all that. One common sense that comes out everywhere is if NDA wins, it is victory in Rajya Sabha as well. Victory for Bihar definitely. Victory in Rajya Sabha as well. The numbers of BJP in Rajya Sabha would swell up, and that would help in passage of bills. Much required bills for the development of this nation. So definitely it is a time when Bihar would march ahead as well as India. So together, what Mr. Modi has been reiterating, that India and Bihar both need to march ahead together.
Your numbers in the Rajya Sabha will improve, but you can only get a majority, I think, if 2018. If you get everything right, it's about 2018, Javed, I think that they will get there. But Sambit, I must say, innumerable debates. You will get a Guinness Book of Records one of these days for the number of debates you participated in the last 1 year. I'm willing to have a bet that you are the most watched face on Indian TV now. Only Narendra Modi is watched more than you. So you can, I don't know whether you're going to see that as a good sign or a bad sign. But that's what I'm going to say. Or others in his party. Or others in his party, how they're going to. But it's always a pleasure having you early this morning. Jai Chanakya, as you said. I don't know, Naval Kishore of the RJD is also joining us in our newsroom. Naval Kishore ji, which way are you looking at this? Are you going to say Jai Lalu or Jai, is there something else that you're going to say? He's saying Jai Chanakya. Who is your exit pollster that you are relying on? Or you're relying on Surjit Bhalla? With 175 seats.
Of course. No, I am just going to say that it is Jai for the people of Bihar.
Jai Bihar.
Yes, who has shown the faith in Mahagathbandhan, and they have stood for the development which is with justice, that is social and political justice in the past.
Right.
And they will be looking of a development model which will be not only counter but demolish the development pattern, development model which has been put forward by Modi.
Right.
So
can
I,
I'm sorry sometimes to ask politicians to stop before the counting comes, because all of you believe that you won the election. That was my only limited point. I just want to get into this X Factor game. There are these 10 X factors that I've listed, and I just want 15 seconds from each of you as to which is that X factor that you believe will be critical come this evening. Veer, quickly.
There's actually an 11th X factor which I didn't think was on your list, and that's the personality factor. The reason they won in 143 constituencies effectively in the Lok Sabha election was because of Modi's...
well, as much as 172 if you add the allies.
Which was entirely because of Modi's own charisma and the belief people had in him. This time around, we'll have to see if that charisma still holds, if it's fading, and if in an assembly election people are swayed by Nitish's record, because from what I can see, there is very little anti-incumbency against him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quick,
very similar to what we are saying. Last election was won by Modi, and if he loses, this election would have been lost by Modi.
That's a bit unfair, isn't it? I mean, there would be those who are going to say that this is also about Nitish's idea of charisma.
No, that's a flip side.
That's right. Because I'm saying we are going to reach the X factor where the state elections are decided by the quality of the state leadership, the Bihari versus Bahari argument. Do you believe any of those X factors are critical? The Dalit vote, the EBC vote, that there is a sense though that these are the silent voters of Bihar?
See, I think all the X factors are irrelevant.
It's
primarily because they all work together. And because all work together, therefore individually they don't count. And when they all work together, new chemistry evolves. And that chemistry, I think, is more towards what Veer was saying in terms of the two personalities in the play. That is, are we looking at local development, or are we chasing the charisma of the distant dream of national development? So I think this is what is going to determine things. If we're talking, and one factor which is not being emphasized enough by even those who talk about caste, is they're not talking enough about scheduled castes. And I'm a little curious about that.
Let me make it clear for our viewers. There are about 14% Dalits today in Bihar. That's 16. Average percentage which is given, out of which 5% are Mahadalits, around 4 to 5% are Paswans, and 4% are Ramdasis, as they are called. That's the non-Mahadalit Dalits who are also important. The non-Mahadalit, the Ramdasis who are equally important. The sense though that you get, Ashok, is there a sense that this is a referendum on Mr. Modi? Is it fair the way we are pitching this election, that it's a referendum on Mr. Modi, or is that inevitable given the kind of aggression with which he's campaigned in Bihar? Is this a personality clash between him and Nitish?
To some degree it is. I wouldn't call it a referendum, but I'd certainly call it a very important and perhaps the most important political test for him since 2014. In a sense, this is a battle for the legacy of the very good government the BJP and the JDU ran in Bihar between 2005 and 2013. who gets the legacy? Does Nitish get the legacy? Does the BJP get the legacy? And in a sense, the way the MBCs and the Mahadalits vote, both of which were crucial props for that government, becomes important today. Will they vote for Nitish? Will they vote for the BJP?
Quick response from you, Ajit. X factor. Which is the X factor that matters to you?
I think the most pivotal factor in this election, the most important X factor, is the Dalit vote and the MBC vote. See, Bihar politics is basically in the past divided between the Savarn and the so-called backward classes. So in this case, the pivotal vote will be if the BJP wins. It will not be because of the Savarn vote, because the Savarn vote has always been with them. Because of the drama of Manji that took place just a few months ago before the poll, that will switch the election on the other side.
That's an interesting thing, because traditionally Nitish did very well. I'll just come because we've got Mr. Maji who's been speaking to us. Traditionally, Maji helped Nitish in the last few elections. He pulled the Mahadalits. Nitish got a significant element. It's only 4 or 5% of the population, but it made a difference to the overall tally of the JDU. This time Maji is with the BJP. How much of a difference will that make, Paswan and Maji on one side? Listen in for a moment to Jitin Ram Maji. That short interview, short clip that we have with Jitin Ram Maji, there he is on your screens. What kind of a role will he play? Have we exaggerated the importance of the Hindustan Awam Morcha, the hum factor in this election? But I also want to go at this moment to Jaivir Shergill of the Congress, just get a quick reaction from him. From a Congress perspective, you had a bad 48 hours. You've just lost in Kerala, a state where you control and which is going to the polls in April, May. You've lost in the local elections there. You've had 9 of your MLAs desert you in Assam, which is also going to the polls in April, May. Things couldn't be worse. Is today your last hope? Is today the only... If you lose Bihar now also badly, after taking this big gamble of being the C team of Nitish and Lalu, I mean, things are getting worse for the Congress.
Rajdeep, absolutely not. We are very hopeful, and this is going to be a very good Diwali for Congress. I was hearing the other speakers, 3 Ds will be the decisive factor in Bihar: Dalit, Dal and Dadri. Now BJP's communal propaganda politics, even from the start, Rajdeep, take a step back. Grand Alliance campaign was consistent. Even in messaging, even in making of slogans, even in ticket distribution. Whereas NDA, there were cracks within BJP, cracks within NDA. They were, even when Mr. Modi was speaking that Nitish Babu hisab do, there were murmurs in the crowd, pehle aap to 17 mahine ka hisab dijiye. So the only, the game plan with Mr. Modi went into the battlefield was attack political opponents, but completely devoid of his own agenda, blueprint, or even projection of state leadership.
Jaivir, it's interesting, the Congress, which is contesting just 40 out of 243, and will probably be lucky to get into double digits. If you get into double digits, that will be an achievement, is calling for an early Diwali, but you are entitled to have one. If you win, you are entitled, jo jeeta wo Sikandar. But quick response, Sambit Patra, to that, in a sense, is this a referendum? Will the BJP treat this as a referendum on Mr. Modi? Will Amit Shah's leadership as president of the party come under threat if the BJP doesn't win? He comes for re-election, as Ashok pointed out, in January.
See, as far as Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah are concerned, the referendum on both of them was conducted way back in 2014, and Mr. Modi, I believe, is the one politician of this country who is faced with an examination every second day. Every election, we begin with this kind of word, whether it's a referendum on Mr. Modi. I'm thankful that Mr. Modi has passed exams after exams to be one of the most liked Prime Minister of the country today, and that's the reason, not just in country, even internationally. What the Forbes list says, that with the 9th most admirable personality in the world. So leave aside whether it's a referendum on the Prime Minister or not, the Prime Minister is working for the country. As far as Mr. Amit Shah is concerned, we have seen Mr. Amit Shah, the charismatic personality, a different kind of organizational man, the man who took UP to a different kind of story altogether. 73 seats, no one predicted, no one expected way back in 2014. Thereafter, state after state, we have marched ahead. I'm sure Bihar, we are doing extremely well, but this is a referendum for development of Bihar.
It's not. It has no effect.
Bihar to go ahead.
It has no effect, therefore, you're saying, on whether Amit Shah stays on as president or not. Do you agree with that, Javed? Are there BJP leaders who are simply, let's be honest, one of the hidden stories that I find of this election, you talk to BJP leaders privately, and some of them actually want to see the BJP not do as well as, as maybe a Chanakya is predicting. I have never seen that happen to this party before. Why is that? Are there those who are just jealous of the success of Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, or feel marginalized in the BJP today?
I'm not so sure if it's jealousy, but it has a lot to do with their working style. The way, Mr. Amit Shah is seen as this domineering force. He's riding roughshod. He was till 2014 just an MLA, just a minister in Narendra Modi's government, and suddenly he's become the president of the National Party. To say, I'm not so sure if this is a referendum, but both Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, if they lose, I'm not saying they will, but if they lose, they cannot remain unscathed. There will be consequences.
Let's just settle this. Our state elections are referendum, Ashok. I mean, am I sitting in the studio now, as usual, looking for my masala and saying, look, the masala is that if the BJP loses, Amit Shah is in trouble. And is there a section within the BJP, is this true, that actually wants to see the BJP lose this election?
No, that I don't know. Obviously, there are factional groups in all parties, but I wouldn't use the word referendum, because I don't think what is being judged here is how well Modi has done as Prime Minister. He's got achievements, he's got failings as well. I think it is a very important political test, because if Nitish Kumar wins, he emerges as a possible face for 2019. It opens up the race for 2019, perhaps prematurely and before Mr. Modi expected. If on the other hand Modi wins and the BJP wins, then there is no serious challenge for some time ahead.
Are we in agreement there that if Nitish Kumar pulls this off, he will be the challenger to Narendra Modi in 2019? Manisha, quickly, 30 seconds. Is he the challenger?
He will be the rallying face around which a lot of, maybe even the dissidents of the BJP could get around to.
But we are only in 2015. 2019 is a long way away. There's a UP election. There are many more elections.
Yeah,
but they aren't leaders like him.
Just on the referendum factor, I do think the voters were talking about a couple of things about the non-performance of the Modi government. Now, if those were issues that the voters were discussing, and the extensive campaigning and the extensive going around by Mr. Amit Shah in all the constituencies, would mean that this, in very large populous North Indian states, there is some opinion formed at the popular level about these two leaders that are leading the party.
The fact is, just 18 months ago, these leaders took them to a big victory in UP and Bihar.
But nothing lasts forever.
No, nothing lasts forever. Yes,
no mandate in perpetuity.
But the fact is,
they have failed. Last year.
Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Yes,
it's a question of style, Rajdeep. Everybody compares this government to the last BJP government, but Mr. Vajpayee's style was consensual. He didn't have a majority. He had Mr. Advani to contend with. It was a very different government. The parallel for this government, oddly enough, though they both represent absolutely the opposite of each other, is the Rajiv Gandhi government, where Rajiv Gandhi had a majority, thought he was okay. Amit Shah is the Arun Nehru of this government. Arun Jaitley is the Arun Singh of this government. Yeah. It's these three people who run this government.
You put the masala. You given me the masala for the thing. Arun Nehru, Amit Shah is the Arun Nehru of this government. I'm going to remember that. But I interrupted you, Dipankar, on the issue of the Dalit vote before I take a break. No. There is a sense that this Dalit vote, along with the EBCs, is going to be critical in this election. Forget religious polarization, forget those issues, it's there. And there's the Muslim factor. There are as many as 40 seats. I want to tell our viewers there's 40 out of 243 where Muslims will decide who wins. And that doesn't happen in most other states. That's critical in this election.
Muslim factor aside for the time being, and I'll come to the other issues later on, because EBCs and Dalits are very, very different communities altogether. But if you look at the Dalit factor, for example, let's take Gaya, Nalanda, Vaishali.
Yes.
And three different parties have won these elections. Gaya was won by the BJP in 2014.
Yes.
Vaishali was won by Paswan, and Nalanda by JDU. And they have similar scheduled caste configurations, all these three. So if you're talking scheduled caste alone, that doesn't really work that well, because different parties have won in constituencies with identical scheduled caste numbers, number one. Yes. Number two, we talked about who will win and what will happen. What we're missing out is the Congress factor. No, I mean, so far at least, very rarely have Congress and BJP not been the binding cementing factor into all coalitions. So Congress probably is salivating right now that if JDU wins, then they'll again come around Congress, and Congress will be a player.
You know, the Congress is no, let's be honest. A party which has contested 40 out of 243 is clutching at straws. Quick, 30 seconds. I'm running out of time, Ashok.
We've been working on the assumption in the past few days that Nitish is the strong face of the Gathbandhan and Lalu is the Achilles heel.
Yes.
I have a feeling Lalu has actually delivered his Yadav Muslim votes. What is up for question is whether Nitish has had the organizational capacity to deliver his OBC, MBC.
So you think there's even a possibility that
votes.
actually Lalu could get more seats than Nitish? Because this is one theory, and that could change equations a lot. Ajit, I'll come to you in a moment. Let me take a break. Into the break, let's listen into Chirag Paswan. Like every other party, the sun is rising. The sun is rising within the RJD, two suns, Tejasvi and Tej Pratap, but there's a sun rising also in the Lok Jan Shakti party. And in fact, Chirag Paswan's posters today are even bigger than that of his father. Listen to him, and then we'll come back with much more. Counting about to start in 10 minutes from now.
मैं गॉड फियरिंग हूँ, तो इसलिए ऊपर वाले पे विश्वास रखता हूँ, तो ये सब ज़रूर मैं करता हूँ, ऑन अ रेगुलर बेसिस पूजा कर लेता हूँ. बट हाँ, जब खास दिन होते हैं, उस दिन मैं विशेष तौर पर अच्छे से भगवान के सामने नतमस्तक होता हूं. तो आज उन विशेष दिनों में से एक है. बट हाँ, उससे ज़्यादा विश्वास मुझे अपनी मेहनत पर है. पूरे प्रदेश में घूमा हूं, सबके लिए मैंने प्रचार किया. अपनी पार्टी के लिए तो किया ही, पर भाजपा और रालोसपा और हम पार्टी के लिए मैंने प्रचार किया. और जहाँ जहाँ भी मैं गया,
That's right. The EVMs are about to be opened ahead of the crucial verdict. Let's go straight across to my colleague Rahul Kawal, who's outside Nitish Kumar's house. Remember, for Nitish, this is a big day. This is the day which will decide his political future. Many ruled out Nitish in national politics after the 2014 debacle. Can he bounce back? Can he be a challenger to Narendra Modi in 2019? Has he made a blunder by aligning with Lalu Prasad and then by, of course, pulling down the Jitin Ram Majhi government, his appointed chief minister, who then switched sides? Rahul, what's the sense? Nitish, unlike Lalu, I presume, hasn't met you yet and said good morning.
He hasn't said good morning, Rajdeep. He, in fact, completely opposite to Lalu Prasad. He's gone for a stroll inside his residence, had breakfast, sat back. I'm told that in previous elections, he wouldn't watch television. He'd just prefer picking up the phone, speaking to his people, polling agents out on the ground, reporting back to him from counting centers, telling him how the elections are going. This time, though, it's a very, very different Nitish Kumar. And part of the reason is a man who's been working very hard behind the scenes. His name, Prashant Kishore, a key strategist with the Narendra Modi campaign in 2014, now staying inside Nitish Kumar's residence where I am this morning and working with Nitish for several months. The man who runs IPAC, Indians for Politics and Governance, and he is the man who could emerge as possibly the biggest behind-the-scenes star, India's most wanted election strategist if Nitish Kumar were to go and win. Remember, this kind of campaign that we've seen this time is very different from the Nitish that we know. When we came here in 2014 and we asked him about other leaders using social media and why he wasn't on social media, Nitish Kumar said, "Is chidiya vedia se kuch nahi hoga." This time, though, in every single rally, every time Narendra Modi has been coming here, Nitish Kumar has been launching a Twitter war against him. All of that being led by Prashant Kishore and the young minds in IPAC. And if they're able to pull this through, remember, this is a grudge battle between Prashant Kishore and Amit Shah. Amit Shah, of course, thinks that Prashant Kishore is a guns for hire, somebody who is a professional and comes and plays for whichever team is paying him. But Prashant Kishore feels that the party was unfair to him in the 2014 aftermath. They didn't give him a position which he was expecting, and therefore he stepped aside to set up the Nitish Kumar campaign. He's been working very, very closely in trying to give this campaign the kind of insider's perspective that he gleaned from being part of the Modi team. And that really is something that will now be put to test. With much lesser resources, have they been able to put up a fight which will be able to overtake Narendra Modi and Amit Shah? And also, who is India's biggest election strategist? Remember, in the manner in which this campaign has been run, potentially the way elections are fought in India going forward will change forever. It was started by Narendra Modi in the 2014 elections, built upon by Prashant Kishore in this election, and could become the standard template in the months and years to come, Rajdeep.
That's right. You know, it's interesting that Prashant Kishore is one of those many individuals who's faceless but switched sides. In 2014 was very much, as you rightly said, part of Team Modi. He is now part of Team Nitish. But are elections decided in the back room, or are they decided by the voters? I think that's going to be critical. Can you decide an election on computers? But what is interesting is in this election perhaps is that the NDA interestingly has perhaps made more self-goals than Lalu and Nitish. We thought Lalu Nitish will make the self-goals. Strangely enough, many of those self-goals have been made this time by the NDA. The big one, of course, Mohan Bhagwat. In fact, I did mention that as an X factor. Many have believed that his statement on reservations changed the narrative of this election. It may have changed it in studios. We don't know whether it changed it on the ground. Do you believe that was a turning point? It gave Lalu in particular, who was being attacked for Jungle Raj, some kind of an opening, Veer.
There's no doubt that it gave Lalu the momentum he needed from being sort of the embarrassment, the sort of black sheep of the alliance, to come out and speak in favor of reservation. Whether it actually makes a difference in the result, we'll find out later today.
Do you believe these statements make any difference out there deep in Bihar's villages, whether someone's talking a reservation, some Congress guest mentions Dadri? Are these the real issues, or is it Bijli, Sadak, Pani, Suraksha, Shiksha? You traveled through a large part of Bihar this time. Did you sense that we live in the studios in complete absentia from what's happening on the ground? That's the sense I got, that Biharis are living a completely different life from what is in the studios.
To a certain extent, I tried explicitly to ask people about Mohan Bhagwat's statement, and no response. Now, whether it was that they didn't want to communicate or not, Second, it is part of my consistent belief in the analysis of elections, whether in India or anywhere else in the world, personalities matter. That is the overriding factor.
You think leadership matters? When
leadership,
you say
absolutely.
as
yes.
to who should lead, who
and
should be our
performance.
chief
So
minister?
obviously, if you have a personality and you don't have performance, that doesn't work.
Okay,
that doesn't work.
I
That's
just
what
want to
matters.
also.
That was what the vote was last year. That is what the vote is this year.
I just want to tell our viewers, on the bottom of the screen, we will soon start getting leads. But remember, the early leads will be postal ballots. And often they can give you an idea which perhaps may not materialize, a trend which may not materialize by the evening, because postal ballots by their very nature are very small in nature. So don't necessarily believe that these early leads are deciding which way Bihar is going, unless of course there's a wave, in which case we should be able to pick the wave early enough. But Ajit, you wanted to make a point earlier also.
What I wanted to say is that the essence, the quintessence of Bihar's election is the reservation issue.
You think so?
Yes, because for the last 25 years, both Lalu and Nitish, their main agenda was the social justice movement.
But hasn't that exhausted itself? Others will say Bihar has moved behind that. It's 25 years. There's a younger generation, 1.7 crore voters under the age of 29 who moved beyond reservation.
Nitish went on record to argue in an interview that that social justice movement is the quintessence of Vikas. He said you cannot separate Vikas from...
but let's be clear.
How did he exclude the Paswans from his...
No, how did he lose so badly in 2014? He lost so badly.
So the point... No, I do think that he was a leader from the right caste as far as the social justice plank is concerned, but he played the politics of disaggregation. He kept the Dalits out of the Mahadalit, the Paswans out of the Mahadalit.
Why is it that a forward caste can't be the chief minister?
Okay, let me come to the
forward caste can't be the chief minister.
This is a great debate.
This
is a great debate to have once the elections are done. But I just want to look at one thing, and I want to tell our viewers again. Do you believe that within a state there are going to be sharp differences? That's what it's a 5-phase election. Yeah. Is that something? There are Muslim pockets. As I said, the total number of Muslim pockets where the population is 15% to 30% is 64, 30% and above is 30 seats. Pockets where Yadavs and Muslims are dominant is again about 70 to 80 seats. Will we see a lot of inter-regional differences? Is this one state election, Dipankar Gupta, or do you believe elections now vary from even district to district, constituency to constituency?
Well, yes, I mean, if you were to look at the 2014, for example, you'll find that the mandate was really quite fractured. Bulk of it, of course, going to BJP, but in different pockets, different parties won. For example, the JDU did well in 2 pockets, the others did well elsewhere. The interesting thing, however, is, as I think Veer mentioned, that leadership is a very important factor, and leadership is what counts. So what happened with Mohan Bhagwat was a leader called Lalu Yadav had just lost his voice, and Mohan Bhagwat gave him a certain bounce. That is all. But in terms of the reservation issue, it became lively again simply because nobody wanted that to go away. Till reservation was in the bag, and it was not at all important. But once reservation was put up for questioning, that became important again.
But I want to come back to this. Is this one election, or should we be looking at 5 different elections that are playing out in Bihar? Surjit, is this good? Because your theory is that it's a wave election. First trend has come. The first trend is to the JDU. The first trend has come, which is to the JDU. That is the first one. In Bhagalpur, the Indian National Congress, Ajit Sharma is leading. Now, this is a switch. Remember, this is also at the moment, this is just the first postal ballot. So please, if the Congress is getting excited, for God's sake, don't. The fact is, this is Bhagalpur. Remember, it's an interesting constituency. It's one of those that I listed, which has a population of more than 15% Muslims, and therefore, and this went in the first phase. And many believe the first phase was where the Mahagathbandhan had slid in. But to answer this question, do you believe elections need to be looked at increasingly as they get more localized? You could be voting differently in Kosi Simanchal, to Magad, to Mithila, to Tirhut. You'll vote very differently.
Yeah. They do vote differently. People vote, the percentages are 40, 45, etc. Obviously, people vote differently. My, if you will, view is very simply this, that I think elections increasingly in India, around the world definitely, you have to take a macro view. It does,
Second
the
trend,
micro,
second
the micro
trend coming in. Meanwhile, Gopalganj, Bharatiya Janata Party, Subhash Singh leading. Remember, this is a bastion that Lalu has cultivated over the years, and this is round 4. And round 4 is where the BJP expected to do well. So it's interesting. These are just 2 results, and they're only postal. Now we are getting 3. The third one, which is coming, is also in favor at the moment of the BJP. It's coming from Raxaul, where Ajay Kumar Singh of the BJP is leading. But go ahead.
So it's performance and, if you will, personality / leadership. That is what matters. Performance, I think I put a lot of weight on performance. But then what you had last year in a national election, you had Nitish, who's had a good performance record, and Modi, who's had a very good performance record in Gujarat. So then it is how you translate that performance with your personality to win. I think the personality, the appeal of Modi has taken a dent over the last year.
There's disagreement on the other side of the table with what you're saying.
Which is what makes for debate.
Yes.
Rajdeep, my argument is Bihar is an artificial identity. Bihar there's no Bihari. There's either a Maithil who speaks Maithili or a guy who speaks
There's
Bhojpuri.
no Republic of Bihar.
There is no Bihari language in Bihar.
There's no sense of Bihari sub-nationalism and idea of
Bihar was
Bihar.
part of
There's no
Bengal
Indian
presidency,
language,
you
but
see.
still people
Bihar was
vote.
historically a part of Bengal presidency. So Bihari identity has never been there.
So a
That
break-
is
First
why
mistake.
Nitish Kumar's attempt,
65,000
Bihari versus Bahari.
kilometers of roads.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, Ashok, you wanted to
There's
say
one
something.
point I'd like to make. In the early 90s, there was Kamandal versus Mandal, as Ajit pointed out, which was a sharp divide. What is on test here is to what degree the BJP has been able to incorporate elements of Mandal into Kamandal. Because remember, the BJP has also tried to do the social justice, get into the social justice game. It's tried to incorporate sections of EBCs and Maharashtra.
Rashtriya Janata Dal leading in Forbesganj, and it's interesting, and I'm going to look at this closely. This is round 5. You know, I'm going to look at round 5 very closely, because many have believed round 5 is where the BJP achieved an element of religious polarization. Remember, this is a stronghold of the RJD, traditionally Yadav Muslim. This is where Lalu is expecting to do well. The Congress also expects to get a few seats. So look at round 5 closely. It's 2-2 at the moment. A third one now, slight lead at the moment to the Janata Dal United-led alliance. Janata Dal United's Jai Kumar Singh is at the moment leading in Dinara. Is it going to be as close as this? I mean,
Dinara is the Rajendra Singh seat.
that's right. That's
very
right. But is
important.
there a sense that you get, will it be close? Is there a sense, because alliances have changed very rapidly if you look at 5 years. You can't even, there's no background to look at, a template to look at. Do you believe that this is going to be close, or do you believe one side will pull away today? I want to put you on the neck.
I'll stick my neck out and say one side will pull away, and I said that earlier, and I continue to believe.
So we
that
can
the
go home
Maha-
for lunch, because my biggest fear is that we're going to have.
You were talking of cholesterol problems.
I have a, yes.
On the
Why are you
side-
saying Dinara is important? You said Dinara is
Mr.
important.
Rajendra Singh, who
Yes.
is a very important man in the RSS organization and who led the party in the Jharkhand elections, also did all the organizational work in the Varanasi elections, and he was in fact silently said that he could be one of the men in contention for the chief ministership in Bihar if the party were to win. So I would look out at Dinara seat. He was said to be a strategist, and he was said to be a strong man who'd crossed over from Jharkhand and would bring the organizational capabilities of the party from that state into this.
Okay, as I said, as we go through these numbers, we're going to get interesting details coming in on every constituency. The Hindustani Awam Morcha has also opened its account. Shakuni Chaudhary, its president, is leading one of the key seats, Tarapur, and that's not unexpected. At the moment, as we say, it's 3 to the JDU alliance, 5 to the BJP. So in these early leads, the BJP has a slight edge as we see those results coming in. But they're spreading from across the state. And let's not make too much of any of these trends. Pashupati Kumar Paras, the president, the state president of the Lok Janshakti Party, brother of Ramvilas Paswan, not surprisingly leading from his bastion in Aloli. So these are seats where you expect these parties to do well. Ajit, is there any particular area that I'm looking at phase 5? Do you believe where the switch could take place, which will give us a trend?
Yes, I think the entire Simanchal region, the famous Harry Blair thesis, he checked out and he pointed out that the number of minority voters tells you where the minorities would vote. That entire thesis was tested in Bihar by Harry Blair, and that has taken a new character today, which is the majority turning out to be in the Simanchal region, so-called minorities. Therefore, there has been a counter polarization which the BJP used in the last phase heavily. You saw how Amit Shah and the prime ministers, the entire rhetoric changed, in the last 3 or 4 days.
In fact, many believe that this will set a template perhaps for future elections, where there are large Muslim pockets, you will have. And we saw that in Western UP in the 2014 election. Is that something that could repeat itself? Do you believe that there's a sense that maybe Amit Shah believes that where there is a large Muslim population, if the opposition plays the Muslim vote bank, we will play Hindu vote bank politics?
I think one of the things, mistakes we make when we look at elections is we say, oh, there's a very heavy Muslim population in this constituency, and therefore so-called secular forces will do well. In fact, it often works the other way, because the BJP plays the Hindu card and you get a polarization and a consolidation of the Hindu vote, so the Muslims actually lose out.
Okay.
It's a strategy that's worked before, and I think they will try it again.
Remember, as I keep
Case in point is Rampur, the Lok Sabha constituency in
Or
Rampur.
Saharanpur for that matter.
Yes. Are we going to exaggerate this religious polarization bit? Look, at the end of the day, every constituency has its own factors.
So look, in Bihar, since the 90s, we've had the social justice plank government, and there has been some amount of alliance of the socially backward castes and the Muslims. The local flavor has been a very mixed Ganga Jamni culture. So for me, therefore, this time the ground looked so different when people spoke the word polarization, because we've lived nearly a quarter of a century almost living together. So this was very, very different, and I do think Biharis will regret the fact that they would be left with a legacy of looking at each other differently, whereas they have lived as one for nearly a quarter of a century.
I'm
so
trying to find some trend at the moment. Jiten Ram Majhi is leading. Sakuni Chaudhary, both Hindustani Awam Morcha, so they're leading in 2. The BJP itself is leading in 2 in Raxaul, and now Bhagalpur, they've taken the lead. Arjun Chaubey has taken the lead there. The 2 that the Indian National Congress leading in 1, the Janata Dal United in 1, and the Rashtriya Janata Dal in 1. Early leads clearly going towards the BJP.
These are all postal ballots.
These are all by and large. I would say till about 8:30 it's postal ballots.
The number of postal ballots has gone up in Bihar this time.
It has, but I don't think it's going to make a difference to the eventual verdict. So I think you're going to have to look at that.
But Rajdeep, this Bhagalpur seat is very interesting. You see,
yes.
In 1989, Bihar's largest communal clash was in Bhagalpur.
Sure.
And that is where Congress lost forever Bihar. And therefore, this time Congress is contesting as the sort of main rival to the BJP.
That's right. It's interesting.
That's 26 years ago.
No, but
the last riot in Bihar took place 26 years ago.
But the fact, Javed, the fact is, let's be clear. There has been this belief that as the election went on, the BJP pressed the reset button. The first phase of the election was very much about development. It was very much about, Bijli, Sadak, Pani, Narendra Modi saying, look, I'll change the face of Bihar. And then the BJP pressed the reset button because they believed that they had to win this election by achieving an element of religious polarization as the Muslim majority seats came. So is there a sense that the BJP changed strategy somewhere?
Well,
was there a mid-course change?
Oh, it's a total no-brainer. Obviously, they changed strategy. They started off with something else, and as it came to these Muslim-dominated areas, and it's much easier to affect a polarization in areas.
I'm going to stop you there because Rahul at the moment has Jiten Ram Majhi with him. Remember, Mr. Majhi contesting 2 seats, Makhdoompur and Islampura. At the moment, he is leading in Makhdoompur. Is he the man that the BJP can hope will take it over the halfway mark? Let's go straight over to Rahul. Rahul, take it away.
Thanks, Rajdeep. We've got the former Chief Minister of Bihar, Jiten Ram Majhi, with us. Sir, मखदूमपुर से इनिशियल ट्रेंड्स आ रहे हैं, आप अभी लीड में हैं, थोड़ा आपका मूड अच्छा है, थोड़ा सा परेशान दिख रहे हैं?
हमने देखा नहीं है,
लेकिन इनिशियल लीड्स में आप थोड़ा सा आगे।
वो तो हम कॉन्फिडेंट हैं कि दोनों जगह से हम चुनाव काफी मार्जिन से जीतेंगे। वो लीड आ रहा है कि ना आ रहा है वो बहुत मायने नहीं रखता है, वो जीतेंगे वहाँ का, क्योंकि हम तो वहाँ चुनाव लड़ने नहीं गए थे, वहाँ के लोगों ने मुझे बुलाया था। और बात भी सही है, प्रचार करने के लिए भी एक दिन नहीं गए, जैसे दूसरे कंस्टिट्यूंसी में हेलीकॉप्टर से गए 2 दिन ओसी वहाँ गए। तो ये अगर जीत है तो वहाँ जनता की जीत है।
हम अभी लालू जी के घर से आए, लालू जी ने हमें बताया 190 सीटें आ रही हैं हमारी।
वो 243 क्यों नहीं कहे, इसी पर भी हमको आश्चर्य लग रहा है। उनको 243 करना चाहिए,
क्योंकि वो लोग कह रहे हैं कि एकदम मोदी के खिलाफ हवा बन रही है, देश भर में एक मोमेंटम खड़ा होगा, मूवमेंट खड़ा होगा, पीएम मोदी का?
मोदी के सिवाय उनको सूझता ही दिखता ही नहीं है। अगर दिखता तो बिहार का विकास होता, चूंकि 15 और 10 25 साल वो लोग रह चुके हैं। और मोदी जब विकास की बात करते हैं तो जो ये लोग विकास की बात न करते हैं तो पोल उनका खुलता नजर आ रहा है। इसलिए मोदी को वो लोग टारगेट बनाते हैं और गलत सलत प्रचार कर करके आगे बढ़ने की बात करते हैं, जो सब दिन उन्होंने किया है। अब बिहार की जनता समझ गई है कि इनके झांसे में लोग नहीं आएंगे। वास्तविकता जो विकास के लिए प्रयास करेगा उनके साथ।
आपका एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा अमित शाह से डील करने का, मोदी से डील करने का? कुछ लोगों ने कहा कि आप मजबूत कड़ी हैं, कुछ लोगों ने कहा कि बहुत ज्यादा सीट दे दी एक अनटेस्टेड पार्टी।
देखिए, हमारा कोई डीलिंग नहीं है। डील शब्द का अर्थ कुछ दूसरा होता है। हमारा कोई डील नहीं है। हम नीतीश जी और लालू जी को सत्ता से बाहर करने के लिए, चूंकि बिहार में 25 साल रह करके 25 साल का बहुमूल्य समय बर्बाद किया और बिहार के गरीबों के लिए उन्होंने नहीं किया। हम कुछ करना चाहते थे, लेकिन हमारी वही नई पार्टी थी, हमको किसी से हाथ मिलाने की आवश्यकता थी। हमने एनडीए के साथ हाथ मिलाया, नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी के साथ हाथ मिलाया और मिला करके आज प्रयास में हमारा यही है कि नीतीश जी और लालू जी को राजनीतिक क्षितिज से अलग कर दें और बहुत हद तक हम लोग सफलता पा ली है। अब रिजल्ट 2 घंटा में आ जाएगा।
कुछ एग्जिट पोल कह रहे हैं कि हंग हाउस यानी किसी को पूर्ण बहुमत नहीं मिलेगा। ऐसे में अगर बिहार की स्थिति फंस जाती है और आपके पुराने मित्र नीतीश कुमार कहते हैं माजी जी गुस्सा थूकिए वापस आ जाइए, जाएंगे?
देखिए, ऐसे तो इस पर इसका कोई जवाब नहीं होना चाहिए, यह हाइपोथेटिकल क्वेश्चन है। लेकिन एक सिद्धांत की बात है कि जिस नीतीश जी और लालू जी को हम लोगों ने देखा और जिस आधार पर उनका हमने विरोध किया, वो आधार अभी वर्तमान है और रहेगा। हर हालत में हम चाहते हैं कि 25 साल में बिहार को उन लोग आगे नहीं बढ़ाया, उसका मार गरीबों को पड़ा है विशेष करके। और इसके लिए कभी भी किसी परिस्थिति में उन लोगों से कोई गठबंधन नहीं हो जाने की बात है। इसलिए कि अगर फिर कोई बातें होगी तो प्रेशर में काम आदमी करेगा, फिर वो विकास की बात नहीं करेगा, जाति धर्म संप्रदाय की बात को लेकर के समाज को अटकाते रहेंगे।
तो आप कह रहे हैं कि अगर हंग असेंबली हुई तब भी जितेंद्र राम मांझी, लालू जी ने बहुत आपको पुचकारा, उन्होंने कहा वापस आ जाइए, हमारे साथी रहिए। अगर लालू जी कहते हैं मांझी जी वापस आ जाइए, सेक्युलर
के बात पर कोई भरोसा नहीं किया जाना चाहिए। वो कहते थे चूहा मारने वालों, बकरी चराने वालों, पढ़ना लिखना सीखो। और समाज के सबसे निम्नतम कैटेगरी के आदमी हम जब इत्तेफाक से ही सही है मुख्यमंत्री बन गए, तो फिर हमको हटाने के लिए राज्यपाल भवन और राष्ट्रपति भवन जाने का क्या उचित है? इसका मतलब वो कहते हैं कुछ और करते हैं कुछ। ये बात को हम समझ गए, बिहार की जनता समझ गई, इसलिए उनके चक्कर में आने का कोई सवाल नहीं।
अच्छा, आखिर में मांझी जी, ज्यादा वक्त मैं नहीं लूंगा, इस बात की भी खूब चर्चा हो रही है कि हो सकता है कि आपकी एक नजर टीवी पर दिखा तो दीजिए, टीवी दिखाइए सर को भी, देखिए बीजेपी 5 पे आगे, एलजेपी 3, आपका भी नहीं खुला है, हम 3, अच्छा हम 3 पे आगे चल रहा है, जेडीयू 1 पे। तो ये ताजा आंकड़े भी आ रहे हैं, मांझी जी की एक नजर कैमरे पे है और एक आंख उनकी टीवी पे है। चर्चा ये भी हो रही है सर कि हो सकता है कि आपको भी कुछ मिले इसके बाद। आपकी कोई डील हुई है अमित शाह से इस पे? क्या आप सेंटर जाना चाहेंगे मंत्री बनकर, किसी गवर्नर हाउस में जाना चाहेंगे राज्यपाल बनकर?
ये सब आप लोगों के मुखार बिंद से निकला हुआ अच्छा शब्द है।
आपके दिल में भी कुछ होगा?
कोई डीलिंग नहीं, दिल शब्द ही दूसरा होता है, दिल एकदम नहीं है। सिर्फ और सिर्फ बिहार के भविष्य को सामने रख करके हम लोगों ने उनसे सहयोग लिया है और उनको सहयोग दे रहे हैं।
Well, the initial lead showing a trend which is shaping up in favor of the BJP, and Maji ji really seems to like that. He's constantly got one eye on the TV screen. That's where his attention is at this time, Rajdeep.
That's right. It's very clear. Early leads. The BJP-led alliance has taken a strong lead, leading in 14 out of 19. Now, these are coming from different parts of the state, and each of the allies are contributing. The Hindustani Awam Morcha is leading in 3. Jitin Ram Maji, Shakuni Chaudhary among those who are leading. And at the moment, the picture that we are getting, and these are very early trends, obviously, but that the BJP is holding its own. So clearly, it appears on the ground, and these are coming from different parts of the state. So keep that in mind as well. There is some reason to believe that certainly the postal ballots as of now have gone strongly towards the BJP. Will these trends hold? Remember, we don't even have one round of actual polling that has taken place so far where we will have a full round available. But the early trends clearly suggest advantage to the... Ashok Malik's smile getting a little wider and saying it's not... It could well be. It could well be that the BJP therefore could cross 150 and more. Surjit Bhalla wondering whether he's going to have to wipe the scrambled eggs off his face at the moment because he's predicted a sweeping win for the other side, but we don't know. These are still early trends. You may well have the last laugh. For now, out of 28 that we have leads for, BJP ahead in 20, JDU alliance in 8, it's advantage BJP. Where the first round is suggesting that it's advantage BJP. Remember, a lot of postal ballots are also coming in, but clearly if it is round 1 and over number 1, it's the BJP which has taken the early lead. 38 is playing 21 at the moment out of the 59 seats where we have leads for at the moment, and they're coming from all over the state. And I think that's important to say that these are not just coming from one region, they're coming from across the state, and that is why the BJP has reason to be satisfied with what is being happening at the moment. Remember, round by round these results could change, and we want to emphasize that because in the past we found sometimes that we trip ourselves up by making judgments based at 8:30, but clearly 8:30 it's advantage to the BJP. You wanted to make a point, Dipankar Gupta, on postal ballots.
Yeah, the thing is that I suppose postal ballots come from people who are outside the state. And that is important because if those Biharis who are outside Bihar believe the BJP is the government to vote for, the influence at home will not be insignificant. So I think that the postal ballot should not be, poo-pooed
should not
away.
be discounted. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, clearly, as I said, 39 plays 22 clearly suggests that the BJP has taken a strong early lead. It also shows that their allies are doing well, particularly the Hindustani Awam Morcha. Lok Janshakti also picking up a few seats. Many thought that the Lok Janshakti could be a weak link this time, but they are leading also in a half a dozen seats at the moment. So both the allies are doing well, and that's another positive because the Congress, on the other hand, as per my data, is only leading at the moment in 2 seats, Purnia being one of them and the other being Tarari at the moment. So it's clearly that the allies at the moment are doing rather well. There's one more. Congress is leading in one more seat at the moment, which is Govindganj. But the allies of the BJP doing much better than the allies of the JDU, RJD combined. I can tell you that Lalu Prasad's son at the moment, Tejaswi, is leading in Raghopur. Remember, this is a tough seat. It's held by a sitting BJP MLA. So that's a tough seat and another one to look out for. But the sense, Manisha, you were on the phone there with Patna. Are you getting a sense that there is any trend emerging as yet, or is it too early to say that a trend is emerging?
No, it's too early. Though, of course, even in these are not just the postal ballots. Postal ballots are, according to them, roughly about 1,000 per constituency, and they've gone into their round 1. But what they do say is that there is a difference between the Delhi Patrakar sitting in studios and what they see on the ground. And they say the NDA is not done as badly as we think here, because clearly I at least had been pitching out and saying that the Mahagathbandhan had an advantage here. But these are still early leads, and if those areas have opened up in the first round or so, which are concentrated to any particular candidate, it would be very difficult to make sense of this. So
what is interesting, I can tell you, in the Muslim dominated areas at the moment, the BJP is leading. Some of the element of the religious polarization that we've been talking about, that in some of these areas with a strong 20-25% Muslim population, the BJP is doing well. So maybe on the ground, in that round 5 in particular, there has been an element of polarization which has worked to the advantage of the BJP. We're going to have to look much more closely at that before we can actually come up with a big.
There's one more point, Rajdeep, that the JDU has done particularly well, but the RJD hasn't.
And that's an interesting point, because many have believed that Lalu will pull down the alliance. So at the moment, in these early trends, clearly the JDU doing better than the RJD, and Muslim areas, which we are looking at very closely, because that is where the RJD has put a lot of confidence in its original Muslim Yadav combined, not doing so well at the moment. BJP leading in 11, JDU, RJD in 6.
That's a difficult thing, because they had almost gone 50-50.
That's right.
So one would not look at trends, but both needed to do equally well for the...
You believe both need to do equally well in those areas?
Yes. We're looking at 2 possible counter mobilizations. One is this Hindu-Muslim mobilization. The other is possibly Yadav and other OBCs.
That's right.
Anti-Lalu mobilization.
Yeah, I want to go to GBL Narasimha Rao, who's joining me, former cephalogist turned politician of the BJP. GBL, early trends clearly showing the BJP taking the lead. Reason for you to smile. You could say, I told you so.
No, Rajdeep, I think it's certainly a reason for us to really cheer. because this was an election that in terms of the caste arithmetic, in terms of arithmetic, this election was actually loaded against us.
Yes.
Because if you look at the Lok Sabha performance of these three political parties which have joined hands to somehow out of Narendra Modi phobia, I think they polled nearly 45% of the vote in the Lok Sabha elections. And we are to start with, we are at a 6.6 percentage point disadvantage coming from Lok Sabha elections. So for us to give a strong performance itself was creditable, and winning this election is, I think, there is no stopping the BJP. I think that's the signal that will go from this election if the trends were to hold. But we always felt that we gave a creditable performance. But I knew in the heart of hearts that the caste arithmetic was not in our favor. But still, if we have done it well, it only shows that people have really voted for the message that the Prime Minister wanted to deliver in Bihar, which is to vote for development, vote for governance, and the youth vote cutting across caste lines must have swung heavily in our favor.
Now, those are interesting points that you're making outside the BJP headquarters where Rohit Singh is already. I've told Rohit some element of celebrations are beginning.
Counting for the crucial Bihar elections have begun, and we are right now at the BJP headquarters in Patna, and the mood here is extremely tense and pensive, and we can show you that at this office there are no big leaders of the BJP here at this point of time. Only there is presence of media personnel who are here reporting since morning, and we are also here since 6 a.m. in the morning, but we have not found any big leader of the BJP, maybe even a local leader, because we are being told that every big leader is in Delhi at this point of time, and local leaders are also glued to the television screen. And see, this is a very interesting visuals which we can show you. Last elections, when the Lok Sabha elections was taking place, the BJP was extremely enthused and buoyed that they knew that the BJP was performing well at that point of time. So this is a place where a huge LED TV was placed last Lok Sabha elections for everyone to see that how the results were coming, what were the trends. But this time around that LCD screen is in fact missing. That has been brought down. So questions being raised as to what is the mood in the BJP camp at this point of time. But the BJP leaders behind the cameras, they are also very tense, they are pensive, but they are also anxious. They are just seeing that they want to get the feel of the results, how the trends are going, then they will come at the BJP office. And very crucial elections for the BJP, because it's the first time that in last 17 years the BJP is fighting election not with Nitish Kumar, and it's been a 2-month long fight between the NDA alliance and the Mahagathbandhan. So obviously in a few hours from now everything will be clear as to who emerges winner in these crucial battle for Bihar. This is Rohit Singh in Patna for India Today.
Okay, so Rohit Singh telling us that the BJP also still looking carefully at those results. Remember, early trends clearly showing 45 to 27 to the BJP-led alliance. So the BJP has taken that lead. And importantly, as I keep saying, barring Mithila, where interestingly we are seeing that the RJD, JDU combined is leading. In the other regions, as we are breaking down regions, the BJP has the edge. I'm going to be looking at Kosi, Simanchal, because that will be that last phase of 57 seats. If the BJP, in my view, wins that, they won this election. But if they don't win that, then we could be closer to what Cicero is saying and a much tighter race in Bihar. Yes?
Even if they do very well in Simanchal, they don't win it, they do very well.
That's
then
right. They need to win, I believe, at least half or at least 20, 40% of the seats.
20 plus seats.
Yeah, 20 plus seats there. Yes, Ashok.
See, we've been talking about religious polarization, especially in the 5th phase.
Yes.
But that is not the sum total of this election if these results hold.
Yes.
You're also seeing, in a sense, Kamandal incorporating Mandal.
Very
You're
good
also
point.
seeing the OBCization of the BJP reaching a certain peak with Amit Shah and Modi.
That's right. That's an interesting point. Yes, Ajit.
Rajdeep, even in Mithila, Abdul Bari Siddiqui, the most important person of RJD, is trailing behind actually.
That's right. So RJD is the one which in this early leads is taking a hit, and Dipankar Gupta will say, I told you so. You've always believed Lalu is the Achilles heel of this partnership. Surjit, you don't have the egg still on your face. It's still a long way to go. Don't worry about that. But the sense that you're getting, is there a sense that voters vote, even in an alliance? If I see the JDU, I vote differently to the RJD. They're in alliance. Nitish is their chief ministerial candidate. But yet, in these early trends, they seem to be seeing that the JDU and the Congress also doing better than the RJD.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't look. What is clear so far
Yes.
is that the BJP is leading.
Yes.
What is also clear that if this trend holds, then a lot of people switch their votes.
Yes.
That is, those who were voted against the BJP last year are
Even in
voting for them
2014.
in
You're saying there's a
2014. I'm
switch
not talking
compared to
2010. Have
2014.
switched
Yes.
their vote.
BJP
And who has switched their vote? That is the most interesting part of the analysis. We'll know who wins or who
Yes.
doesn't. But basically, that is what I felt was a very low probability event, that people will switch their votes to BJP having voted against them last year.
See, I think 2014 is, I think, holding firm right now.
Yes.
The problem is with RJD strongholds. That is where the shift is probably taking
Yes,
place.
we're going to have to wait to see whether that shift stays. As I say, for example, look at the Mithila region. BJP is leading in 3, JDU plus in 8. So within
That
Bihar,
was true
there are...
2014 as well.
Yes, no, that was much more true of Kosi, Simachal. Mithila, BJP had done well. So there is a churning taking
Yeah.
place on the ground also. There are areas where BJP might have done better in
Mithila and
2014 compared to
Darbhanga,
now.
BJP did well in 2014.
That's right. So there are some areas where the BJP is not doing as well as 2014, but other areas where it's gaining compared to 2014, particularly Kosi, Simachal. As I said, these are early trends. Let's not decide the winner just yet. This is not over. Even at 45-27, this is not over, but advantage to the BJP very clearly in this election. Ashok, I'll just take a quick break and come back with more. Build the excitement. We'll get much more results coming in, particularly, I believe, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the critical 1 hour where this election could be decided, where we will get a definite trend emerging. First trends, Amit Shah could well be proving, along with Narendra Modi, to be the Jodi number 1.